The golden era of Discworld is full of Sir Terry reaching new heights with his writing, and trying new experiments that produce stellar results. But sometimes these experiments don't quite pan out. Soul music is one such experiment. It's not that it's bad, far from it, in fact. It fully deserves its spot in the Golden Era roster, and I would highly recommend it. But it doesn't quite measure up to its competition. To understand what I mean by that, though, and what I mean when I say competition, let's ask, what is soul music? Soul music is the story of Susan Sto-Helit, daughter of Mort and Isabel, her grandfather Death, whom we all know and love, and Imp E. Kellen, a young musician of mysterious origin. Their three stories all run concurrently, with Susan going through a coming-of-age adventure story, Death experiencing and coming to terms with grief for the first time, and Imp unleashing both a primeval force that threatens the disc and a hurricane of music-related puns. How do these plots all tie together? Well, that's rather the main issue of the story. But before addressing that, we first need to address, how does the world of soul music work? Not too many world-building elements of Discworld that will stick are introduced in soul music, but there is one major game-changer introduced in the character of Susan Sto-Helit. Like her father, Mort, her story is a parody of most coming-of-age adventures, but there are two key differences between them. Firstly is their gender and the tropes that come with it. While Mort is a plucky young lad from nowhere with a desire to prove himself, Susan is a wealthy young woman who longs to break free from the confines of her stuffy college for girls. Secondly, though, is the central lesson they learn on their respective journeys. While Mort learns that enough determination and ingenuity can fix even the direst of situations, Susan learns that there are some things you simply can't change. While some might think this second difference ties back to the first, i.e. of course the girl would be told to know her place and accept the current social order, I think there's a bit more to it than that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The other mainstay of the series introduced in this book is Quoth, the Raven. He's like a Disney animal companion, except he constantly mopes and moans and reminds you that he's only in this for the eyeballs. Also, he patently refuses to say the N-word. You know the one. He's grouchy and irascible, but in the end, he means well. And as a bonus, he's one of the few people who can understand what the Death of Rats is saying, which allows him to serve as a handy translator for Susan. Meanwhile, while they're only here for this book, Impy Kellen and the music are deeply important characters here, with their plots serving the central message just as much as Susan and Death. Imp is a young man with big dreams and great ambition, a fervent desire that one day soon, everyone will say he was the greatest musician in the world. The ill-considered implications of these exact words being a perfect conduit for the music to enter the Discworld, after Susan halts Imp's premature death. The music is something of an odd duck in terms of Discworld threats, as it's neither a denizen of the dungeon dimensions nor an auditor of reality. It is, it seems, a solo act, intent only on getting out and being heard by as many people as possible. Unfortunately, its presence on the disc will lead to some nasty warping of reality, which means that the music must die. Death might not be up to the task, though, because he's currently grappling with emotions he's never felt before, and in such a state that even Albert is worried. Death has taken many lives. He has even killed before. But with the death of Mort and Isabel in a cart crash, Death experiences bereavement for the first time. And he honestly has no idea how to deal with it. It's enough to make him reconsider his whole, for lack of a better word, life, and seriously wonder what it's all about even. How do you go on with your work, your routine, your life, now that people you love are gone? Isabel was Death's daughter, and Mort was his apprentice. Death loved them, as any father would love his children, and now they're gone. Forever. Death will never see them again. So how is he supposed to go on? The answer lies in the question, what does soul music have to say? Impy Kellen was supposed to die after he found the music. But when Susan saves him, the music is able to escape through him, allowing him to achieve his dreams of fame and fortune just as he'd hoped. However, this also allows the music to mess with the fabric of reality, threatening everyone on the disc. Like her father Mort, Susan's actions create ripples with dire consequences, but unlike him, even if Susan can save the world and maybe even Imp, she can't save everyone. She can't bring the dead back to life, and she couldn't save her parents. But Death could have. He may not decide who lives and who dies, but he's altered reality to save a soul slated for death before, so why couldn't he save his own daughter and son-in-law? Susan, who believes that every life is precious and everyone deserves to be saved, confronts Death on the point, but Death points out that most humans are nothing special. They live boring little lives, do nothing of importance, and are forgotten soon after dying. We can't concern ourselves with them, because if we did, we'd be crushed by the sheer weight of caring. Susan cannot accept this, though, and resolves to be a better Death than Death himself. Someone who is not simply executioner, but judge and jury as well, who will make sure the good live and the bad die. She has the power, now that Death has neglected his duties in his grief. She has the chance and the ability to take over his title and reshape the world by her decisions. But how can she make those decisions? Does she know everyone on the disc? The full extent of their stories? The full possibilities of their lives? The full complexity of all the moving parts of the universe? Susan's first attempt at saving someone she thought worth saving almost dooms that universe, and later attempts at making sure the good live and bad die only result in further complications. So what makes Susan qualified to judge who lives and who dies? That she cares about people? Susan's attempts at being Death illustrates the essential paradox of power. One cannot govern the basic building blocks of life unless one removes oneself far enough to see the big picture. But in seeing the big picture, you can no longer make out the finer details, the day-to-day existence of ordinary folk, the value of a single human life. One must choose, then, between immortality and humanity. And this is why Death did not save Mort and Isabel.
I couldn't have given them more life. I could only have given them immortality. They didn't think it was worth the price.
Mort and Isabel were always going to die. If not in that cart crash, then in some other time or place. The only way Death could have made sure they never died is if he made them immortal, like him, and took away their humanity. The very fate that Isabel had to save Mort from in his adventure was the only option that would have allowed the two to never die. And so they chose instead to make the most of what time they had left in this world. The universe kind of has to be cold and ineffable. The wisdom of higher power is inscrutable to us mere mortals. Because at the end of the day, human beings are just a small part of an infinite cosmos. And yet, it is our humanity that ensures humankind's continued existence. Whatever forces that govern the universe can't concern themselves with petty human concepts like right and wrong if they want the universe to go on, but humans need to, if we ever want to keep things running on our end. The immortal can have a bit of humanity in them, and the human can have a bit of immortal in them. Indeed, this bending of one's nature allows for a greater understanding and wider perspective on things, but there are some things, like death, that cannot play by the rules of right and wrong. There are some forces that even the pluckiest of heroes can't stop, and we have to make our peace with that. Final verdict. I am writing this the day after I had to put my cat to sleep. Her name was Keiko. She was a good cat. We had her for 15 years. And we knew that this day was coming because she was old and she was having trouble with things. And when she finally stopped eating, that's when we knew that it was time. But it still hurts. And I actually started writing this a few days earlier. After we'd made the appointment, but before the day itself, and for some reason, Keiko would not leave me alone. And she almost never bothers me at the computer, but I ended up spending the whole day with her just sitting in my lap, just petting her as she's purring, and I think she knew on some level. And I knew that even if this was wrecking, the schedule that I wanted to keep, there are some things more important in life. Sorry. There are some things more important in life. And now I'm coming back to this script, having buried Keiko, and trying to process my feelings by doing what I do best, writing. And it's not easy. I still miss her. But we have to keep on living, and whether it's a pet or a friend or a family member we lose, we have to keep on living, and I know it sounds hollow when I say it out loud, but it's true. The world goes on even after we leave it, and we have to keep going even after the people we love leave us. Cripes, that kind of brought the mood down. So yeah, soul music. I was talking about soul music, wasn't I? Yes. Okay, so soul music's main problem is simply that it has too much story crammed into it. Each of the three protagonists and their respective journeys are rich and important enough to warrant their own full-length books, but they're all crammed into a single book together, and I think that hurts the final product in the long run. Imp's story just isn't as nice as Moving Pictures, Death's story just isn't as nice as Reaper Man, and Susan's story just doesn't compare to Hogfather. This isn't to say that the final product is bad. I would still give it a solid 8 out of 10, but it does leave me wanting somewhat. Then again, though, maybe that's just the nature of grief. So, for now, I am Marc signing off, and I hope you liked this video. If you did, and you'd like to see me make more, please leave a like or comment down below, share my video via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or other means, and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you would like to help this channel out, I now have a Patreon, which you can contribute to via the link in the description. If you sign up, you will get sweet bonuses like an internet hug, early access to videos, and the ability to vote in polls to help me decide which works to cover next. So, thank you all, and I will see you in the next one.